Kirk, I just did want to ask you to maybe evaluate Tristan Brassard's season last year, just kind of what you saw from him and what steps you're hoping he kind of takes.
Yeah, Brassard, I thought he did a great job. He kind of hit it. He was playing outstanding there, and then he got mono, and it just obviously derailed him a little bit. It's just tough. Like, sometimes you get an injury or something, and at least you can do something. Like, you can do some sort of training, and he was basically 3 weeks. I don't think he could do any physical activity. So he was basically starting from square one again. I thought he did a good job getting himself back and going by the end of the year. He actually did play really well in the playoffs, I thought, competed hard, scored a big goal for us. I think he's going to have a huge year for us. I think like a big thing to remember is he only played center basically for a year and a half. And he's done a great job with it. His reads are really good. I think he's going to take a bigger role in our penalty kill, assuming he's with us. I know he's coming here with the goal to play here, but from that standpoint, I think like there's opportunity for him to have a big role this year and then knock on the door, because I really thought before he got mono he was going to play up here this year. He was outstanding for us. So a little setback for him, but I know he's probably training his ass off right now to be ready to go for September.
I was going to say, what was it like for you to see Avery Hayes get rewarded with that NHL contract, and just what does he bring in general to the group?
I think you always have the soft spot for the guys that have to kind of, I don't know, start at the bottom but earn their keep. Like, start on an American League contract. He was even in and out of the lineup early in the year, a lot because of that, where he stood on the depth chart and he never complained, and it eventually got to the point where we were all just talking to Spets. We were both like, this guy can't come out of the lineup. Like, this is crazy. And we just, he was outstanding again for us the second half of the year. I thought like all our young guys really, speaking to the last season, did such a great job like carrying the load for us a lot of the time and scoring big goals, and Hazy was a big part of that.
You only got Harrison Brunick for a 10-game sample at the end of the year, 2 games in the playoffs. Just what kind of growth did you see from him, even in that
Huge.
short stint?
Honestly, it was. Credit to him. He figured it out quick. Came in initially and just, in junior habits where you can just skate by people and hold on to the puck for a long time. I thought he did a really good job. Like, the last couple regular season games and the stint, the playoff stint, like, he was moving pucks quick, jumping in the rush. The goalie scored in the playoffs was outstanding. I thought his ability to kill plays, again, I think was the less he does in certain areas, the more he accomplishes. I mean that, but just by making a really good first pass and then activate and then jumping in the rush, we want our D to be aggressive and try and create offense, but it doesn't mean necessarily having to skate through everybody. And I think once he kind of recognized that and was a little more patient with his game, the offense came to him. He did a great job.
What kind of growth did you see from Owen Pickering over the course of the year, and what does he need to do to make it up here full time?
Yeah, just keep getting stronger and consistent with his play. Like, it's just any young guy coming in. It's a long season. It's a grind, and like I said, like that whole group of guys, those first-year guys last year, they all share a lot of the same qualities and how hard they played and worked and the willingness to get better and put the work in off the ice. And I think as long as Pick does that, and, like on the ice, he's going to have to continue to compete and get into people. I think just for him to defend really well, make a good first pass, be really good killing penalties, I think as he does that, the rest takes care of itself.
With the changes to the NHL staff, what's the challenge of working with Dan Muse in terms of whatever scheme he wants to implement and, making it uniform with how you guys operate?
Yeah, it's been, honestly, Dan and I have talked a ton since he's gotten the job. We kind of, wouldn't say had a relationship prior, but we knew each other. We'd spoken on a couple of occasions. He coached the 18s that year with like Will Smith and Perreault and Leonard, and that was my first year in Dubuque. So we'd seen each other before. I don't know what he's about, familiarity with that stuff. So it's been pretty seamless. Like, it's been great. We've been in the office here every day with my staff and his staff together, working on stuff and doing video, and it's been outstanding. Like, the collaboration's been great. He's been real open-minded to, if me or one of our assistants in Wilkes has a suggestion that maybe we could try, like, they're really open-minded, and it's been awesome. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more work to do, but I think there's a lot of optimism on that standpoint.
What does Brad Milan bring to your staff?
Just a guy who's obviously played for a long time. He understands the grind. He's done, he's had a significant amount of time playing in the National Hockey League, but he had to earn it and grind. I think that bringing that, obviously he did a great job in his 1 year in the OHL, so he's worked with younger players, in a league similar to the AHL from a development standpoint. So he checks a lot of boxes. I think everybody we talked to throughout the process like raved about him as a person, and I haven't seen any reason to not believe anything anybody said so far. It's been great. We've been, our staff's been together. Brookie's still hanging around here too. So we've all been out. It's been, like I said, it's been great. Like he's fit in like a glove, and we're excited to have him.
We talk a lot about player growth and player evaluation, but what about yourself? 1 year down in the American League, where do you think you've grown, and what's got you excited now to hit the ground running year 2?
Yeah, year 2, I think just now I know everybody's names. Coming in here has been, even this week has been a lot easier. Just again, like knowing the guys, TK and I not having to feel each other out because we were just like, I don't know, it's just all the rest of the development staff, like my staff and Wilkes, like it just, for me, the comfortability this week has made things easier. And there's a lot of on ice stuff and X's and O's. Like there's a lot of things we can get better at, and maybe and we've discussed to reassess and improve on. So I think you going through year 1, you kind of anywhere. In my experience now, you make some mistakes. You make mistakes every year, but first time in a job, I went through it in Reading and becoming a head coach, Dubuque, and now here, you look back at some things like I would have done that differently for sure. And hopefully you run into those situations again, you do, make a better decision. So excited for it, and can't wait.
Thanks, Kirk.